Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Harris.
Hey, how's it going? First off, I got some handouts for you guys because we're going to talk about the basics today. Quick question for the room. How many of you started off playing records, like vinyl records? Put your hand up. 2, 3, 4, about 5. How long did it take for you to learn how to beat match on a vinyl record? Forever, right? Year, 2 years in your bedroom, just every day grinding. We don't have to do that shit anymore, right? Strato fucking took most of the work out of this for us. So that's what we're going to talk about, kind of the basics, how to use them, where to go with them. This is my first time doing something like this in a class with a bunch of people. I do this one-on-one, just a little bit about me. 2020, everything shut down, and I got a phone call from PA Cyber School. They're like, hey man, we want to start an intro to DJing elective class, but everybody works at home right now and we can't give them any equipment. What do we do? Well, that was a great question. I didn't know, so I wrote a curriculum for them. I won't lie, I'm a little nervous. Give me a second. Nah, that's another guy. I'm not TJ the DJ. You can find me on Instagram. So what I did is I looked at DJing from a couple of different perspectives. Music history, the fundamentals of how to read a room, things like that. And that's really what I started teaching these kids on how to do. But I also wanted to teach them like beat matching and mixing in key and things like that. Next big question I have for you. How many of you know how to beat match now? Pretty much everyone, but not quite. Simple. Here's how it works, right? We'd say we're going to go into our energy crate. We'll talk about being organized too. We'll just say 70. 70. We're just going to let that ride for a second. 70 is 70 no matter what. You're always going to want to mix on the 1, but 70 is also 140 because the way the time signatures work, you can split it in half, you can match it with what it is. That is the simple math of it. But that is just like the very basics of getting started as a DJ. The papers that are coming around talk about mixing in key. How many of you mix in key? How many of you know what mixing in key means? Okay. So the paper I'm sending around is something that talks about mixing in key. And the reason that we want to talk about that is a lot of the times when you're seeing a DJ live, oh, I don't need sound, Ronnie, we're good. This is just a visual thing. Thank you. You're going to sound like shit if you're mixing out of key a lot of the time. Your tracks aren't going to mix. They're going to sound like a clash. People are going to wonder what this person is doing. Why does it sound like this, right? So if you look in the row next to BPM on my screen, you're going to see a line that says key. And I'm super neurotic, so if you go into this crate, it's actually just organized by key. The way that the Camelot key system works, it's like a clock. It's 1 through 12, and you can go in a bunch of different directions here. You can go up, down, you can go left, right for the basics of mixing in key. The paper has a little symbol on it. It shows you exactly how that diagram works. Now, there are other ways that you can do this sort of thing, but this is the fundamentals of it. Up, down, left, right. A to B, 12 to 1, 12 to 11. It's pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Once you get beat matching and mixing in key kind of figured out, now you actually get to start having some fun with things. So you saw the word play crates in there. That's something we're going to talk about this afternoon when I do my hands-on thing. But we want to talk about like simple ways to start practicing to be better DJs today. So when I'm trying to teach somebody in a class how to beat match for the first time, I utilize my Serato in a way that kind of makes it a little bit easier for them. So let's say I want to teach somebody using a hip-hop song. Let's go BPM, do. Let's get into like our 90s here. I know, there's a lot of shit in here. So say you've never beat matched before, right? Set yourself a loop for 16 bars, and you press your 16-bar loop. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to practice coming in on the 1 every single time. And you can change this from a 4-bar loop to an 8-bar loop, whatever it is that makes sense for you on how to do it. And just practice beat matching this one beat over and over until you're hitting on the 1 every single time you do it. It's going to take some time, but it's similar to like fucking Guitar Hero or any of those things. Once you understand what you're doing and you can see the timing coming, you can do it every time. And there's things within music that are going to help you with doing this in a way that makes your mixes sound better. So people have always been like, oh, you know, DJ intro edits are a 16-bar intro. But does anybody really know why it's a 16-bar intro? No, but kind of. So the way that a chorus works in a song, it's usually 16 bars, bridge, 16 bars. So if I'm mixing out of a song and I drop my 16-bar intro at the start of the second part of a chorus, and I cut that song that I'm mixing out of at the end of that 16-bar intro, I'm coming in on the first note of the next song. That's phrasing. Once you understand that part, you're now a way better DJ than 99% of the DJs in your market. Because most people, when I go out and see them, do not understand that concept whatsoever. They're mixing in and out in the middle of verses, they're mixing in and out in the middle of choruses, they're mixing breakdowns into the fucking breakdowns. It works, but it's not the best way to do it for the effect you're looking for. And that gets you into different mixing styles as well. If you're doing long blends, like I'm a blending DJ, I love doing a long blended mix. And now with stems and things like that, dropping bass, dropping melodies, dropping instrumentals over stuff, makes my sets a lot more creative, but you have to understand this phrasing and key shit before it gets to that point. An hour is gonna be a long time for this. Oh shit, 25, that's even better. So, phrasing. It is one of the most important things you're gonna wanna learn. When you get into stuff like mixing hip hop and scratching and stuff like that, phrasing changes because a lot of those guys are doing quick cuts right into the one. But it's still the same thing. They're going into the one at the end of the phrase. And they might cut a little bit before that, you know, leave the fader open, have the drum going, boom, 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 and then they cut in, or they have a vocal and they cut in on the one. Understanding those things is gonna take you to the next level of being a better DJ. So, talked a little bit about key, we talked a little bit about phrasing. I want to talk about the actual Serato software and what we're looking at inside of it. So, how many of you use Serato? Pretty much almost all of you? If you don't, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. But we'll do the best that we can. Well, you know, there's a bunch of other software out there. I've just been doing this one the longest. I skipped CDJs. I went from records straight to Serato control vinyl, and I've been stuck here ever since. I'm an old dog. I'm not learning new tricks at this point. So, when you're looking at your screen, you got a bunch of different stuff in front of you. Obviously, cue points are going to be this section up here. You can set them wherever you want. You can change them. You can rename them. This is really important when you're trying to learn wordplay tricks, things like that, where you can set your cue point, you label what that cue point is. Now, every time you load that track, you can reference it right away. There's other things that we can do in here. Stems. How many people are using stems now? How many of you have mapped your stems to your controller? Perfect. If you don't know how to do that, really straightforward, you just go into your settings up here. Boom. Right here. We've got our slicer mode. We're replacing the pad mode. You can kind of see it on your screen. You just go and change the pad mode to stems. I attached it to my slicer because who uses a slicer? Anybody? Ever? No. Nobody. That's a stupid feature. Get it out of here. Other things to look at on your screen here. Any of you guys using Flip yet? Yeah? Flip is great. You pre-record your track with your edits right into it. It saves a version of the Flip track. Now you can go in, you have your own custom edits of songs, and it saves them right in there. You can have multiple versions of the same song that you can choose what your edit is. You can use your cue points. Boom, you're jumping all around the song. You want to make a shorter edit really quick, you throw it right in there. It saves it permanently right with that track file ID. Let's talk about the different play types, relative and absolute. Unless you're using vinyl, not really going to be a problem. How many of you guys are still using turntables? Like, Dean, way to go. Solid, bro. I got them too. I just use them sometimes. I have Rain one now. I think it's just easier. Crates. Everybody knows how to make a crate, but who knows how to make a smart crate? Like 4 of you. Let's talk about this real quick because this is super important. This is actually how I get my stuffs organized. We'll just show you real quickly. On the side for my crates, I have 3 different folders. I have an energy crate, I have a decades crate, and I have a key crate. If I go up to my Smart Crates folder, you get this little dialog box. If you want to make a crate, you click Add a Role, and there's a bunch of different parameters that you can use. Whether it's file name, year, BPM, key, there's a bunch of different ways that you can use this. So we'll do something based off of, year right now. So I go to year, and let's say I want anything that is before 1990, and we're going to add a second role. We'll go to year, and we want it after 1979 because we're going to do an 80s party, right? We click save. You're going to see this crate is forming right here. This is every song now that has been made between 1979 and 1980 or whatever I just said the years were. Being organized makes your job so much easier. When I get to an event, obviously I'm going to have a playlist from my client that I'm going to work off of, right? But I don't want to be thinking. I don't want to be sitting there scrolling through my fucking Serato the entire time looking down. I want to have an easy way to get to the songs that I know work the best. So being organized in the way that I like to have myself organized makes that a lot easier. Who here is using mixed in key or platinum notes or any of that stuff or knows about them? Okay? If you're not using this stuff, these are tools that are in the toolbox right now. I use mixed in key, I use platinum notes, I use it all with Serato, and then I'm also using Sound Switch for my lighting. So we'll talk a little bit about mixed in key real quick. Basically, it's a track analyzer. You throw all of your music through there, and it gives you your BPM, your key, but it also gives you a new thing, which is called energy. And basically, energy gives you the idea of like, okay, same sort of thing, tracking system. An energy of 5 or 6 is people like entering the room, just getting the event started. You go up into your 7s and 8s, and you're getting into more like party rocking mode. It goes from 1 to 9. 1 is basically a tone. It's gonna put you, but when you get to the 8s and 9s, things like that, you're looking like big room anthems, boom, 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 everybody's excited. I like this new addition of having energy as a thing that I can reference to, because if you're in a room and the crowd is just kind of, and you want to bring it up and you're not sure what to grab, go into your energy crate and start working them up. These are guaranteed to be working songs. Platinum Notes is a brand off of Mixed in Key. If you don't know what it is, basically, it's a compressor for your tracks. You load all of your music in there, and now you load a track, and it's not peaking out while you're mixing on to the next one because everything has the same bass line. This is really important if you're kind of quick mixing and you haven't listened to your tracks right away. I run everything through Platinum Notes before it even goes into my storage right now. That way I guarantee that when I play, all of my sets sound even keel, and then I can adjust where I need to adjust. Yo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can. So what it does is it does 2 different ways of transferring. You can set it up so that it'll create a new file that is the Platinum Notes file, or you can have it erase the original file and make you a Platinum Notes version. So it's really up to you on how you kind of want to store things and how much storage space you have. What I do is I have a master hard drive that's the original files. I transfer it onto the computer, run it through Platinum Notes, and then I erase that file and just keep the Platinum Notes one. It does not, just MP3. So the next step after I do Mixed in Key and Platinum Notes is Sound Switch. How many of you are using lighting, like intelligent lighting when you're out? It makes a huge world of difference with your setup at this point. Now that everything's going wireless and everything's easily accessible and easy to set up, being able to create a more inclusive feel for your room is going to be the next step for really stepping up your DJ shit. So I use Sound Switch, there's Show Express, there's a couple others, American DJ Go, stuff like that. Everything that I have right now is pretty much all wireless lighting. Some of the fun stuff that I learned with that, if you didn't already know this, your wireless uplights can work to turn any light into a wireless light, because it'll daisy chain the DMX signal right to that light, and now it's part of your chain without having to actually run a DMX cable to it. That's a fun one. Learned that recently with a big event we were doing a bunch of uplighting at. Once I've processed all my songs through Mixed in Key, I processed them through Platinum Notes. Now I run them all through Sound Switch, which now embeds a lighting code into everything. So now all of my songs have custom lighting that go along with everything else. And I can go in there, I can adjust the lighting, I can change it however I want. If I don't like the setup that it gives me automatically, because you can auto do it, or you can sequence it yourself, I'll go through and I'll sequence it myself to do what I want it to do, or hit the colors that I want it to hit. back on the subject of back to DJing, now we talked a little bit about software, we talked a little bit about organization. How many of you use effects when you DJ? Okay. If you're not doing this, it's very easy to set up a couple of easy things for you to make your mixes sound a little bit easier. If you go into your effects bank, I have mine set for echo, I have it set for a break, and I have it set for whatever the other one is, pan delay. Echoing out at the end of a track is just a simple way of making it sound like a little bit more flair on your stuff. What I like to do sometimes is I'll grab a loop of like a vocal. You'll see this in my wordplay thing that we do later. But I'll grab like a vocal loop, you know, maybe yeah from Backstreet Boys, because that's what we're going to do later. And I'll loop that yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I'll hit the echo on it. Now you're getting the echoed yeah, but then I bring in Usher's yeah, right? So you're getting the instrumental over Usher, you're getting yeah, yeah. I'll drop the fader up and down, so you're getting this echo out of the yeah. So by the time we actually hit for the first yeah in Usher's, we've had this big buildup that then gets me over to the next hip-hop song. Things like that, and being able to play with your song and just give it a little bit more flair when you're mixing, again, is just gonna take your sets to the next level. Get experimental with it. Stop looking at music in like a linear format. It's not start to end. It's what are the best parts, how can I exchange that into the best part of my set, and how can I deliver that to the crowd in a way that they've never even heard it before. That's where being creative comes in. And this gets me back to my first subject, which was the classes that I started putting together. Music history and understanding how these things work with each other is one of the most important things you can figure out. If you're not into the music of the past, you're never gonna understand the music of the future, and your sets are gonna be kind of plateaued at whatever you're currently listening to. I spent a lot of my time digging through different genres, digging through different years, just to kind of figure out how I can make it work. And there's a lot of different tools that you can utilize for that. Anybody use Shazam? Yeah? How about lyrics.com? Familiar with lyrics.com? If you're trying to get into wordplay routines and things like that, these are things that you can use. Shazam is going to tell you, you know, what a song is. There's who sampled, which is going to give you opportunity to say, okay, Funky Drummer's been sampled by 35 different artists in 10 years. We can make an entire routine based off of Funky Drummer. You know, you go into lyrics.com, now you say, okay, I want every song that said something about Pittsburgh, or every song that said put your hands up, or whatever your key phrase is that you're trying to play with at that time, and you start building your sets off of that sort of thing. Now you're gonna start getting into DJ routines, you're gonna get into like the battle stuff, you're gonna be able to really expand what you're capable of behind your DJ booth. Man, this time goes real slow when you're up on this side. Yo. Yeah. I can, but I don't have any audio right now because I told Ronnie I didn't need it, but this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. So, sure, 100%. So we'll go with, what the hell was that? Hold up. That shouldn't do that. Yeah, right? There we go. And we'll go into yeah. We don't need no audio. You can see it visually. So, all right, maybe we do need audio if they want to hear it. Come on, Ronnie, make the thing happen. So, this was not supposed to be that kind of class. Yeah. So yeah, sound switch runs in the background of Serato, and it reads the BPM off of the track as you're playing it. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can pre-sequence all of your songs, or it actually has like an auto loop function. So there's also a tap button on the controller. So if you're playing and it's just running auto loops, you can tap your BPM into the control system for sound switch, or you can type it in, and it'll match pretty closely to your song. I definitely recommend running yourself some show sequences, get to know the program a little bit and how to change the things you want to change within the parameters that they offer. It's pretty, there we go. All right, so we're gonna go right around here. So this is a mashup of This Is How We Do It and Everybody. We're going to go to a 2-bar loop. I'm going to kill the instrumental. Now you're into yeah. So like just those simple little things like that where you find those moments, and you could do other shit with that. You can grab that yeah now that it's an acapella, you can scratch that a little bit if you want. And that's what I do with like the what is it, the Baby One More Time edit, where I'm grabbing Party in the USA and it's Hit Me, or Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. So when the Britney Spears song is about to drop, you know, and the Britney song was on, and you cut that on, and then you're dropping into Hit Me Baby One More Time, or whatever fucking Britney Spears songs works with that. It's anything about 95 BPM, 100 BPM. There's a lot of options. These things in these little routines, those are those wow moments that when you're back there as a DJ, the client goes, oh, whoa, well, how did you get there from there? I was not expecting that. That's what we want. I want those reactions. You know, I want to hit them with something they weren't expecting. You know, I want to make it fun. I want to make it exciting. I want it to make it a little bit unpredictable. You know, my sets start off kind of slow. They build, they drop, they build, they drop. And I want to take them on a journey with me. I'm not just playing 120, 128 BPM for 3 hours. That's boring as hell to me. It's going to be boring to the client. So I really want to figure out what my method is. With weddings, I like to start about 115 BPM. That gives me stuff like Uptown Funk, gives me stuff like Apache. It gets me into I Want to Dance with Somebody, and lets me build off of that. So I might start off there, go up to like a 128, give them something to peak on, and then maybe bring them into a slow song or something like that, or drop it into some hip hop. It really just depends on the crowd. Usually within that first 30 to 40 minutes, I've done all of the stuff that the old clients that are there wanted. Grandma's happy, mom's happy, dad's happy, and now we can turn it into the party for the couples. At this point, I mostly just do weddings. I used to do the bars. I used to do the clubs. I was a rave DJ for like 20 years. I've played all over the world. I've toured Africa. I've been to the UK. I've done all across the United States doing this stuff. And it wasn't until maybe about 10 years ago where a guy was like, hey man, with all of your experience, why don't you do weddings? And we'll shout him out. His name's Mad Mike, for those of you that know him. He's an amazing guy. He's a pain in the ass, but he's one of my best friends. He is the one that really pulled me aside and was like, this is weddings. Shadow me. Learn this stuff because I know that you'll be good at it. And I did. I went to a couple weddings for him, and within the first year of being a part of his company, I ended up helping him manage his company. And I started training his DJs, and I started doing sales and things like that, which eventually I ended up having to leave and start my own company because I just knew that I could do bigger things. So now I'm not just a DJ. I run 2 event spaces. I have a catering company. I have a rentals company. I have a linens company. We do everything for the most part to be as inclusive as possible for our clients so that they don't have to make another phone call. What I did was I started essentially a partnership group where we are the center of a big sales team where I represent all of these other major players within our market to be able to sell their product at our venues. It has taken my business to a level where I was not prepared to be what I am. I wanted to do this. I'm really great at doing this. But apparently I'm also really good at the marketing, sales, and all of the other stuff that goes along with this, and it's given me new opportunity. But it all started as being a good DJ. And it took me years to be a good DJ. I was not a good DJ when I started. I sucked. You know, I was mixing into breakdowns on every song. I couldn't figure out how to beat match. Scratching was just a foreign thing to me. But the more you do it, and the more practice you get at it, and the tricks you learn to be able to teach yourselves these things is going to make a big difference. Practice these little things. Set up these loops for practicing your beat matching. Understand mixing in key. Understand the softwares and things that are available to make your job a little bit easier because they're out there for that exact reason. There's no reason that you need to struggle at this point. You know, make this something that's enjoyable, but make it easier on yourself so that you can focus on doing the other stuff we now all have to do, like create content or have meetings, phone calls, Zooms, whatever it might be. Hang out with your kids a little bit more. Fuck, I don't know. There's just so much stuff that goes into all of this, and we all have so many parts of our lives that revolve around this system and how we do it. I've got like 2 or 3 minutes left, so if anybody has any more questions, we'll do that, and then we'll do a hands-on thing this afternoon.
You talked about the program that you're uploading all your music, and that's doing all your information and all your tags.
No, because Serato also processes everything. The big thing that you're getting different from mixed in key is over in this comments line, it's giving me not just the key, but also the energy signature for the song, but it does a little bit of a better job reading BPM than the Serato internal software does. So I just like running it through that, and I like the energy option that it gives me. It's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's 100% there, but it definitely gives you some better ideas for where you can go. The other thing is like organization for me is really important. So what you're seeing right now is everything that I've played over the last like 5 years. Everything in this crate has a play count. I went through and I sorted through 50,000 songs last winter, and I deleted everything that I never played. I kept it on a hard drive, but I got rid of it from our crates from what we play. This is now just stuff that I've tried at weddings that I know will work, or that I've tried in a bar or club scene that I know works for my crowd, and I kept that stuff. Everything else got the boot. Do that for yourselves every so often. You don't need to keep every song. If you've not played it and it's been 2-3 years, it's got to go. Mm-hmm. No, it will not. It's got to be in there. And there's ways that you can obviously go through and do it manually, and you can group batch those things. So if you have, 30 songs that you put in a crate that are all, 80 songs, if you click and you hit like shift click on the bottom one, it'll give you that column. You can easily just change one. It'll automatically change all of them to a year for you, and then you can put it into a smart crate. Not that I know of yet, but if I'll find one, I will let you know. Yes, sir. Does it? I don't know. Yo, wrap it up. Okay. Hey, thank you so much for letting me do this. Big thank you to Bill for inviting me out to do this. Kelly for introducing me, everybody that's putting on the AV and stuff like that. I hope you guys got some information out of this that was helpful.
Very.
I'll see you at 5:30 in the other room. We'll do some hands-on stuff.
Thank you, TJ. Very good. Learned a lot off of that. He's got a workshop in the afternoon.